Morning, everyone. How about that introduction? That energy is contagious. I have a question for you. Do you remember your middle school dance? I sure do, and I've got proof. Circa 1990. This is my 8th grade dance. Imagine me now walking into that middle school gym and 7 other girls are wearing the same dress. I grew up in small town Pennsylvania, daughter of a mechanic and a first-generation college student, and I was very focused on fitting in. But what matters in middle school is not fitting in, not conforming yourself to others. It's belonging. It's knowing that you matter just as you are, and having friends and adults that support you just as you are. Now, more than ever, with social media, with the youth mental health crisis, middle schoolers need to know that they belong, that they matter, just as they are. And mentors can make that happen. My life was changed serving as a middle school mentor. Middle schoolers with all their moxie, their mayhem, and their magnificence. Middle school matters deeply. It's second only to early childhood in brain development. Their identities are forming, their prefrontal cortexes are developing, and they are wired for risk-taking. But with a mentor by their side, they can take positive risks, and everything changes for the better. I started mentoring 25 years ago in Washington, D.C., and I have learned so many lessons in that quarter century and made plenty of mistakes. But for today, I've boiled it down to 3. 3 lessons and 3 stories to match. The first lesson, be humble. The story of EK. I met EK in 2000 when he was in 6th grade and I was in my early 20s. First session of mentoring, we sat down, did the usual get-to-know-you games, and focused on getting to know each other and each other's names. I made careful attention to remember each of those scholars' first names. Next week rolls around, and I proudly use their first names. And then I jokingly say, but do you remember my name? 2 of the 3 did not, but EK sure did. Not only did he remember my first name, he remembered my first, middle, and last name. And then he turned it right back around on me and said, do you remember my full name? I blanked. I was mortified. All I could remember was EK. Ike Chukwu Umez Eranini. He has a beautiful name to match his beauty as a human, and I will never forget it. Ike taught me a lesson that day, and today and every day since then, I focus on really getting to know people, and I pause, I try to make sure I'm pronouncing names properly, and that I remember them and follow up. Research from the University of Illinois at Chicago shows that cultural humility, and what I was exercising is just the tip of the iceberg of cultural humility, that cultural humility strengthens and lengthens mentoring relationships. It's different than cultural competence, which implies mastery, and definitely different than colorblindness, which assumes and ignores differences. Fast forward to today, EK is a civil rights attorney living in Arkansas, married with 2 kids, and he taught me a very important lesson on cultural humility when he was just 11. Lesson 2, stick with it, the story of Neris. Neris had the riz, as middle schoolers today would say. So much charisma, so much leadership power. And yet she also had a lot of hurdles in her way. A volatile family life, housing instability. She stopped attending our program in 8th grade, and then she stopped responding to me for 3 years. But for 3 years, I kept reaching out. I stuck with it. I was so worried. But I kept reaching out. And then one day, out of the blue, she reached out to me in a moment of personal crisis. She had stopped attending high school, and she needed support. And I'm so glad she had the self-awareness and self-advocacy to reach out and know that I was there. We worked together to get her back on track. Research from MDRC and Princeton University shows that mentoring relationships that last less than 1 year actually do more harm than good. I'm gonna repeat that. Mentoring relationships that last less than a year do more harm than good. But if you stick with it, magic can happen. Fast forward to today, Naris not only graduated from high school, but she just graduated from college at age 32. She's now pursuing her master's in social work at University of Maryland. She is a caseworker in Maryland Public Schools. She married her middle school sweetheart, who I knew. And she also is the proud adoptive mom of 2 kids who really needed extra support. She's amazing. Story 3, lesson 3, go deep. The story of Ariel. I remember meeting Ariel when he was a chubby, quiet little 5th grader in his little hoodie with a sharp wit and a keen intellect. He showed up faithfully week after week for 5 years for our after-school academic enrichment and mentoring program. And we worked together to get him into one of the best high schools in Washington, D.C. That spike in his trajectory actually paused and made me have a spike in my trajectory. That is when I decided to come work for higher achievement after mentoring for 5 years. That was 20 years ago. And I'm so proud now to serve as the CEO for higher achievement across the Mid-Atlantic. What I'm more proud of, though, is the results that our program works with scholars and families to produce. Empirical third-party results, as well as results for the long term for young people. Our scholars are 3 times more likely than their peers to graduate from college. That's because middle school mentoring pays off. EK, Naris, and Ariel inspire me and have taught me so much. And I've metabolized a lot of the lessons over these 25 years. And with that, I have a wish. Actually, no. I have a challenge. I have a challenge for each of you and for many more. And that challenge is for every middle schooler in this nation to have a mentor, to have someone at their side showing them that they belong just as they are. And this is possible. In my town of Washington, D.C., it would only take 2 out of every 100 grown-ups to step up. 2%. This is wildly achievable. In your hometowns, it could be less. And I know many of you in this room, especially this room, are already serving as mentors in one way or another. And for that, I thank you. Keep at it. And I challenge you to do more, to push into middle school, to recruit more young people and more adults to serve as mentors for middle schoolers. Because when we are humble, when we stick with it, and when we go deep, everything will change for the better. We will unleash a powerful force of our common humanity, and we will tighten the social fabric of our beloved communities. Nothing could be more important. Thank you.